All right, I'm Detective Garcia, first initial G, second initial D, G-A-R-C-I-A. I'm assigned to Robbery Division. And we are here to discuss a serial aggravated robbery investigation of several commercial businesses involving Mr. Ronald Albert here to my left, and talk about his subsequent apprehension in Montgomery County. So, but prior to me getting started, I just wanted to touch on his prior criminal history. So, 2013, he was developed as a primary suspect in 9 different robbery investigations. He was subsequently charged with 3 of those. He was sentenced to 10 years TDC. So just to give you all, just a little bit of background on who we're dealing with here. So I want to give you a quick investigation overview of what we have going on now. So out of the known cases that we have identified, we're up to approximately 7 cases dating back from January of this year to June, 4 cases in June. And to my left, we have some surveillance footage we would love to share with y'all, just to kind of paint a picture of what Mr. Albert has been up to. So this first one is going to be at 5323 Antoine Drive on June 5th. So he enters the store. He has a towel over his head, partially concealing his face, which, as you can tell, quickly falls down. He produces a firearm, holds it to both of the employees' heads as he's demanding money. In all of these, out of fear for their lives, they do absolutely cooperate with his demands, and still feels the need to put the gun, to their skull, in most of them. So when he does order them to the back, at some point, his firearm discharges. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and a shell casing was recovered during the follow-up investigation. He's collecting the money, and you see him flee. You get several good looks at his face. So this next case happened June 24th on West Mount Houston. This case is what broke this investigation wide open. He does enter the store, purchases a drink, exits the store, re-enters approximately 2 minutes later, picks out another drink, dons his mask, produces a firearm, and rushes the clerks, demanding money, again, putting the pistol to their heads. They comply as well, orders them to the back, trying to get money from the safe, which they did not have access to. So this one actually happened 10 minutes prior to the one you just saw. He does enter the store again, no face covering, sees what's going on, dons his mask again, and proceeds into holding them at gunpoint. As he's demanding money. You can tell he's still wearing the same exact clothing as he did in the previous one you just saw. It was later discovered he was using a stolen vehicle out of Harris County to commit these robberies, and as of today, that vehicle still has not been recovered. So as you can tell, Mr. Albert, he has displayed a consistent violent behavior over a long period of time. So from there, we were fortunate enough, one of the victims released the footage online to Grizzy's Hood News. And for those of you who don't know what Grizzy does, she operates a social media platform. It's an alternative news outlet, which often, and she does encourage people to release their footage to get suspects identified, mainly in violent crimes, and it has led to several identifications of suspects. In this instance, one of the victims provided her with the footage, and within 24 hours we had a positive ID on our suspect. From there, the fugitive portion of the investigation, trying to find him, which was rather difficult, but due to means that I can't discuss right now how we came upon it, but we were able to track him to a motel in Montgomery County, Shenandoah exactly, and he was taken into custody without incident. And from there, he was already charged at that point, but several additional charges were filed after that. So one thing I do want to talk about, the victimology of all this, it's consistent throughout. He has specifically targeted fast food joints and gas stations. And as you can tell in the footage you just saw, that, it's mainly, predominantly, female employees when these stores are empty. He has went into several of them prior to the robbery. You see his face, and then has returned once other customers are gone. So, which leads me to my next point. So, due to gaps in timeline of the known robbery cases that we have, the first being in January, the next one that we have identified is in March, and then a slew of robberies May and June. So with the gaps in the timeline, leads me to believe that he was committing robberies elsewhere. Whether, I know he has family ties to Southwest Houston. He was in Montgomery County for approximately 2 weeks prior to us taking him into custody. So if he looks familiar, or if you're aware of a robbery that kind of matches that description, we want to hear from you, whether that be adjacent agencies, or just victims, or even friends of his. We encourage him to come forward, and it's a blessing that we're only talking about aggravated robberies right now, because as what you've seen, he's violent. He doesn't even follow, most criminals, even follow one of the most important weapon safety rules is keep your finger straight and off the trigger. In his case, he has his finger on the trigger, ready to pull at a moment's notice, and the fact that we're not investigating a capital murder is an absolute blessing. So we definitely want to, do all we can, to ensure justice is served. So.
How is he communicating with the patrons or the employees?
I'm sorry?
How is he communicating with the employees, the people he's robbing? Does he speak Spanish?
No, he doesn't. So, and that's, unfortunately, a lot of our complainants are Spanish speaking only, but I guess they understand the universal language of unfortunately a gun in their face and what they're there for. And, in every instance, they do everything they can to comply, just to live. These are good, honest, hardworking people just trying to make a living. And, the fact that, he's doing what he's doing is, they'll live in fear for the rest of their life. And they've said that, to me personally. And want to make sure something like this doesn't ever happen again, as far as he's concerned.
He's very dangerous because he doesn't really know what he's doing with the weapon.
Absolutely. You can tell, for anyone that has any experience, handling weapons. And you didn't see it in the video, but he's dropping stuff, dropping the pistol, who knows what condition it's in, but like I said, the fact that he has finger on the trigger is very discerning.
How helpful has Greasy's footage been to your investigation?
Absolutely phenomenal. You know, she, as y'all probably know, she has a huge following, and you know, people often, you know, lean to her. And you know, some of my, you know, best important investigations over the years, they're all important, but you know, notable ones, they have come from her followers identifying my suspects within a matter of minutes sometimes, or most, in this case, it was less than 24 hours.
Do you recommend people doing that or doing something else?
That's up to them, you know, and that's just something that they got to cross, because I do know some of the footage does show their face, you know, and I can totally understand why they wouldn't want their face out there like that. So that's just something that they would have to, you know, weigh the options.
Do we have a time frame when, like, for maybe possible acts that he may have committed? Do we have like a certain month or year? Are we, how far back are we, you know, looking for any?
So he was released in, if I'm not mistaken, October of 2023. So that gives us roughly 8 months that he's been, you know, free, walking among us. And, you know, the fact, you know, that it does, you know, the first one that I know about is January, but, you know, I feel confident there's going to be additional ones. And there's no specific date or day of the week or time. It's broad daylight, most of them. Some early morning, some mid-afternoon. And, you know, so again, I encourage anyone that has the information or even suspects that he might be involved, we want to hear from you.
Do you feel that this might escalate and later on be murder or?
I can't speculate on that part, you know, but, you know, what we do know is that he has, you know, a fairly solid history of violent behavior. And like I said, it's a blessing that it never got to that point.
The charges that sent him to prison 10 years ago, were those for robbing like the same types of places as this one?
Absolutely. So believe it or not, one of those charges from 2013 is one of the same stores he was robbed in the past. And most of them are on the north side of Houston, approximately West Mount Houston to be exact. But, you know, who knows? You know, he's been all over, and you know, the possibilities are endless with what he's done in this 8 months. So that's what we're just trying to figure out.
Has he been acting alone?
So primarily, yes, that I'm aware of. As far as actually committing the robbery portion, on 2 different occasions, he has used a getaway vehicle and has had a getaway driver. We do have some leads that we're following up on regarding that individual that was assisting him. But that's another thing we're asking for the public's help, because I know someone knows something.
What do you make of the fact that he got out in October? And, you know, obviously you don't have any sooner than January, but even 2-3 months later, obviously he didn't learn much.
It's very troubling. You know, I think 10 years would have been, you know, enough time to, you know, learn his lesson. And something I do find very troubling with all this. So in the earlier robberies, he was completely masked up, you know, head to toe. Mostly he had some, you know, some of his face exposed. But over time, as you can tell, he quit caring about, you know, concealing his identity. And you can come to your own conclusion on that, you know, but I think it, you know, does a good job of painting a picture that, you know, is just more brazen and does not care. And you know.
And now he's charged in 5 of these robberies, is that correct? Or he's charged in 8?
So he's been charged in 3 different incidents, but he has 5 total aggravated robbery charges, and some of them, you know, with multiple complainants. So he has a total of 5 charges from 3 incidents, and an additional 3 felony charges of felon in possession of a firearm. So, and we do anticipate additional charges as well. These were just the preliminary ones that were identified and filed. So we do anticipate more.
But you have 8 total incidents that you connect him to, but he's he's charged in 3 of them.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Eight total felony charges.
And do you anticipate he'll be charged in all of the 5 others?
No, not usually. So, you know, in my experience, a lot of in situations like that, they will come into play on the punishment phase of, you know, justice system. So once he goes through the court process and all that, you know, they will be accounted for it, but just in a different way.
Any more questions?
I know you touched on it a little bit, but as you were watching the videos, did you see it escalate from like the first time you saw this or the second or third? Did it seem to get more mess?
Yes, I would say so. And, you know, due to the fact that he has, you know, I don't know if it's just for dramatics or what, but he makes it a point to cock the pistol in front of him. I'm sure it's for intimidation purposes, you know, but so on the June 5th one, he did have a discharge, and, you know, he definitely didn't do that before, you know, and the fact that he wasn't concealing his face anymore definitely paints a picture that he was becoming more violent, so.
And what day was he picked up?
It was Monday, July 1st, so just the other day. So we, lucky enough, you know, with our North Belt crime suppression team, everything kind of came together with, you know, assistance from outside entities, able to locate him, and, you know, it was the element of surprise that, you know, really did it. You know, caught him coming out to the car, wasn't expecting anything. We were able to successfully do a VCT, a vehicle containment technique, and just, you know, held him in place until we were able to get him in custody without further incident.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.